And I think this is a great comment that Robert left under the original post that I tweeted out. There are no more great teams like OSU, Bama, and Georgia of old, not even Oregon. Tons of good teams that can get got if they take the wrong team for granted. And I agree 10,000%. That is probably one of the best tweets you're ever going to see. Thank you to Robert for that. This entire season, I have stated the SEC is a brutal gauntlet. But guys, I hate to admit this, I think I was wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great Monday. Hope all of you having a great start to your week. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, we got to do it. I'm sorry to my SEC fans, but we have to have a serious, and I mean a real deal, serious conversation about the Southeastern Conference. I've seen the comments over the many years we've spent on this amazing platform we call YouTube. There's a lot of you that think Matt has quote-unquote SEC bias. And I can go on and on and on, but y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And to each their own. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But one thing I've always stated, and I'll use this example for reference because it's the greatest one out there, if the SEC is the best conference, going off of cold hard facts, and I sit up here and tell you guys, hey, I think the SEC is the best, is that really me having SEC bias? Or is that me just calling things for how I see it? You see what I'm saying? Hold on. What is this comment on the recent video? Have to be great? Nah. What? Nah, I might have to blur that out. It says M-E-T. Nah, bro, that's crazy. That one's not even up for debate. That's a strike, my brother. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Matilda be great with another banger. Shaking my head. Marky B. Diddy should be the offensive coordinator. And I should be. I don't care what anybody says. I got better plays than Nick Sheridan. And, oh, here's the most important part. I got common sense. I could read off all these comments, and I would love to read off more. But we got to get back on track with this video. Actually, I lied. I was scrolling off of the video, and I just saw this comment. Happy belated birthday. I believe it's Matthias. Not my name. Don't know who you're talking about. The Big 38? Hope you celebrated well. What? The Big 38? Dude, I'm 24. Bro, y'all just be lying for no reason. And y'all don't even think about, like, dude, there's going to be new people coming to the channel and they're going to be thinking you're serious. If you keep up with college football, and if you watch this video, I'm assuming you do, you know there's no fence riding. You either love the SEC or you hate the SEC. No in-betweens. SEC fans have the mentality of, they hate us because they ain't us and we're the best. And non-SEC fans have the mentality of, we hate them because they think they're the best and they're overrated. Especially Big Ten fans. They feel like the SEC has been overrated for years and years and years. When that argument starts to come up, that's when SEC fans go to the old reliable. Oh yeah? You think we're overrated? Well, who's got the most championships within the past 20, 25 years? That's us, buddy. I call that old reliable because it's like the same thing with the Michael Jordan and LeBron James debate. Jordan fans are always going to point to, oh, well, guess what? Jordan has 6 rings. Let me give you some context and perspective, though. When I started keeping up with college football, it was right when the Tim Tebow era was starting in Florida, when Chris Leak was there as well. And coincidentally enough, that is when I think a lot of us would agree that is when the SEC started their dominance. And the SEC was good before the Tim Tebow era, but you get what I'm trying to say. The past 20 years, it's been all SEC, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I would say since about 2005, 2006, around that time frame, actually, scratch that, let's just say since 2004, make it a nice clean 20 years, the SEC has been head and shoulders above everybody else. It was just different ball, man. The SEC was a gauntlet, and it seemed like whoever won that conference, they were going to win the championship. And there's been multiple times within the past 15 years, you had 2 SEC teams playing for the national championship. Do you know how insane that is? You had LSU, Alabama that one year in 2011, Georgia and Alabama in the Tua Tagovailoa game winning touchdown, and most recently, Georgia and Alabama in the Stetson Dordash Bennett game. And since the SEC has been so dominant, I myself, yeah, I'll admit to it, I have propped this league up, and I've propped all these teams up, especially this year. Ever since I started keeping up with college football, I have firmly believed that the SEC has the best talent, best players, and the best teams. And it's not a coincidence the SEC has been the best. All these 4- and 5-star recruits, you know where they're from? A vast majority of them? The Southeast. So you see where I'm going with this. You know where most of them go to school as well? The Southeast, these SEC schools. I say all that to say this. Fast forward time into this year, and more importantly last week, I stated that there's no way the committee thinks teams like Notre Dame, Indiana, and Penn State are better than teams like Ole Miss, Georgia, and Alabama. Let me ask you a question. What have we seen so far in the SEC up until this point? Very similar to previous years. You just got everybody beating up one another. Kick off the season, you got Alabama beating Georgia. You got Tennessee beating Alabama. You got Georgia beating Tennessee. And then you got Ole Miss beating Georgia, and the list goes on and on and on. We thought for a second Texas was the best team in the SEC. Then Georgia just completely destroys them. LSU didn't look bad. Then Alabama beats them by a 30 burger. Auburn beats A&M. Then right when we think Ole Miss, they're going to make the playoff, Florida beats Ole Miss. So many more examples I can list off. I think you get the point. And I really did believe, guys, I did 100%, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who thought, oh yeah, when all these teams like Georgia beating Texas, Alabama beating Georgia, I just chalked it up to, yep, that's a good old SEC. I seriously thought it was just good teams beating up on other good teams. But with what happened this most recent weekend, I'm starting to reassess some things, and I think other SEC fans should as well. I tweet this out, and if you don't follow my Twitter, feel free to do so. Maybe the SEC doesn't have a bunch of quote-unquote good teams beating up other good teams. It could be the SEC just has a lot of mid teams that are beating up other mid teams. The funny part is, we'll never know. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about it. Maybe we're just tricking ourselves, and by we, I mean me. For the longest, I thought Ole Miss and Alabama, and we can even throw Georgia into this. Yeah, they were just getting beat up by other good SEC teams. Same thing for Tennessee. But maybe the entire SEC this year is just mid. And the crazy part is, we will never know. We can sit up here for hours and hours and hours and debate it, but we just won't know. The only time we'll actually be able to find out if they're good or just mid is if 3 to 4 SEC teams get into a playoff, and, well, we'll see what happens there. If they make a run in the playoff or play good, then I guess we could say, yeah, they're good. But imagine, could you imagine, just think about this, let's just say 3 SEC teams get into a playoff and they all lose in their first game. Whew. The conversations that we're going to have. This entire season, I have stated the SEC is a brutal gauntlet. But guys, I hate to admit this, I think I was wrong. Don't get it twisted. The SEC is still a top-tier conference. I'd still say they are number 1, but they ain't like I thought they were. Your top SEC teams like Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, ain't nothing special about them. They ain't too much better if you want to say they're better than Indiana and Penn State and Ohio State. No, I'm not talking about the past 20 years, but this year at least, the SEC is overrated and overhyped. We'll really find out just how good the SEC is this year when those teams get into the playoffs. And I think this is a great comment that Robert left under the original post that I tweeted out. There are no more great teams like OSU, Bama, and Georgia of old, not even Oregon. Tons of good teams that can get got if they take the wrong team for granted. And I agree 10,000%. That is probably one of the best tweets you're ever going to see. Thank you to Robert for that. And this is another great comment. It's a lighter option, but that goes for CFB in general. It seems like this is a total off year for every team. And maybe I should talk about that a little bit more. It's not just for the SEC. It seems like it's been this way for every conference this year. And this is a different video for a different day, but it goes back to something we've been talking about the past couple of years. Parity, and more so of, the transfer portal has brought the parity back. For a while there was zero parity in college football. You had 4 to 6 teams dominating, and maybe not even 4 to 6, but 2 to 3 teams dominating every single year. But now it just seems like there's a bunch of good teams, and almost anybody can beat anybody. Look at Kansas this year. They're 4, no, my apologies, I was about to say 4 and 6. They're now 5 and 6. And they have not 1, not 2, but 3 back-to-back-to-back top 25 wins. And they're only 5 and 6. Let that sink in with you. Kansas is one of the hottest teams in the nation, and they may not even make a bowl game. It's just like whoever can get hot, that's going to be the team that wins these games. Whereas 10 to 15 years ago, nah, it wasn't like that. There was a huge discrepancy in the talent from top to bottom in every single league. But what I think has happened is your not so good teams and your bottom tier teams in every single conference aren't as bad as they used to be, and your top tier teams aren't as great as they used to be. That gap in college football has shrunk, and it has shrunk mightily, which is great from an entertainment perspective, like for fans like me and you, because it equates to more entertaining games and less blowouts, which we love to see. It's crazy when you think about it, and a great example is Auburn lost to Cal this year, and then they also beat Texas A&M, and that's just one of the many examples I could throw out there. Mississippi State got blown out by Toledo, the Rockets, and then they put up 31 against Georgia. Think about it. Just like Norman Osborn. Think about it, Spider-Man. This has been a weird, and I mean very weird year of college football, and I'm all here for it. Let me know your thoughts down below, but